There we go. Some flute. Welcome to Pathfinder Meditations with the Find the Path podcast.
It's gonna be real quiet, guys.
It's just silence and Sirenscape.
Yep. No, welcome to our after party. I believe it's after party number 5
I
now.
don't keep track of those.
It is after party number 5.
It's number 5.
It's whatever the last episode was divided by 3. Math. It's only 90% of what we do. It's just math disguised as story. Yes, so we're back here. I'm, as always, your host, Rick Sandidge. I'm joined by Jessica Peters, Jordan Jenkins, Rachel Sandidge, and Heather Allen.
Hey, he knows our names, guys.
Yeah, I could middle name most of you.
Please don't.
Please don't. I'll avoid that. So yeah, in the after party, as always, we discuss the most recent 3 episodes of the Find the Path podcast, so episodes 13 through 15, as well as a little bit of other stuff that we've got going on. And again, we're kind of using this as an opportunity to reach out and do a little thing with Sirenscape. We're listening to the Elven Vel daytime sound set, little peaceful meditations. Come walk with us in the Elven
Oh,
Vels.
that's right. I always take out the flute. That's why
I like the flute.
Yeah, I always take out the flute when I run that sunset.
The flute makes it sound almost Amazonian.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm in the
It's a
jungle.
little, yeah.
Could be Amazonian elves. We don't know.
Yeah,
True.
There
That's
are
true.
elves in the Mwangi.
it's true.
That is true. They never even fled during Earthfall. It was the whole thing. But we're not here to talk about elves.
I could talk about elves all day, guys.
There are no elves in Mummy's Mask.
There are no elves in this party.
Yeah.
No elves in this party.
Nope.
Sad.
Yeah, so we've made it through another couple of episodes. We passed Unlucky number 13, which is one of the, I guess, the first episode we'll be talking about today. Does anyone here have any Triskaidekaphobia?
No.
If I knew what that was,
It's
maybe.
the fear of the number 13.
Fear of the number 13.
Oh.
I like the number 13 a whole lot.
I don't know. Jess and I have always wanted to go down to like tattoo shop on Friday the 13th and do the Friday the 13th tattoo. So
Free tats? Well, not free
no,
tats, but
it's
reduced
$13
price.
tattoos
$13
for
tats.
Friday the 13th.
I'm just scared of $13 tats.
Yeah, that's
You get what
probably
you
why
pay
we've
for.
never actually done it because we understand that
It's
quality
amateur night at the
comes
tattoo
with-
parlor.
Yeah,
So yeah, when we last left off in episode 12, you guys had found the
going on in
room
episode 12?
with the creepy plates with human skulls sitting on them. You found out a little bit more about that after a couple more episodes, but you basically had a skull fight with some beheaded.
Which was actually surprisingly easy. I kind of thought that was going to be a harder fight.
And we met a really nice lady named Hisharu who was then traitorous.
Yeah,
I mean, lady might be a bit of a stretch.
She
'cause
was
she
a
was like
sand
a
lady.
sand person.
Sad.
she appeared to be a woman, but that was in fact a Sandman.
Oh.
Oh, okay. So
they-
Is that
like
what they're
the
called? Sandman?
Yeah, they're called Sandman.
Oh,
Just
she was putting us all to
yeah,
sleep.
she was putting us all. That's where we started talking
about.
about that. Was like, man, she
Yes.
seems
yeah,
like a sandman.
they're outsiders. They've got some cool abilities.
Was she actually like supposed to be guarding the house and then she had some warped sense of it, or did she was there now?
No, she's just occupying it. She had no connection to it before. She was just lying to all of you, lulling you into a false sense of security.
She was mean.
I
Yes.
do not have any sense motive.
I do not either.
I have a 4 with no ranks in it.
And then she told us
Yeah.
about Eminesh and his skulls.
Imanish.
Yeah,
Eminesh,
she explained
yes.
that he was the one creating all the headless people.
Which she wasn't wrong.
No, I mean she told us.
Wait,
no,
so
She
she
wasn't lying about that.
Yeah.
And then
And then I found a cool mace that I forgot about until this moment and should remember because I definitely still have it.
yeah, it's just a normal mace, but
It'll be useful if I need to bash something until we sell it.
That's all true. I mean, you could always hold on to it.
It was definitely still creepy to keep hearing this flapping around and everything, so I thought atmospherically it was really cool.
That's true. There's flapping. There's weird shadows that Sitra saw in that episode kind of moving around.
It reminded me of an episode of Aladdin from back in the day.
I remember
episode.
That. Yeah, there was a TV
Yeah.
show.
There was a TV show of
Yeah.
Aladdin?
Yes,
I
it
did not
was
watch
awesome.
that.
You know,
It was actually
this
really
is
good.
Totally off topic.
But the Aladdin episode was like a young girl had gone into this temple and gotten cursed or something with powers of the sand, and yeah, it was she showed up several times as a recurring villain.
Yeah,
She
and
really
there
cool.
was also a really cool like wizard dude that was a villain in that show that I remember thinking was kind of cool back in the day. I can't remember his name.
Jafar?
No, it was another character that they had, and he had like snakes or something that were his little minions. I don't remember.
Jafar?
It's not Jafar. It's from the cartoon show. Oh my god, I'm googling it now.
Jafar likes
But-
snakes.
But I was going for the Sand Lady because
Sand
that was like the first
Lady.
thing that popped in my head because I was like, oh, it's like Aladdin. But
You're for weird things.
I know.
At least it wasn't a Buffy reference.
I probably have one.
And
Did
Buffy
she
ever
fight a Sandman?
Yeah.
Actually, no, but she did fight a mummy.
We haven't fought mummies yet.
So,
Hold that one in your pocket.
yeah, I'll hold that one in my pocket because that was season 1.
No, the interesting thing with Hasharu is that honestly the only reason she kind of talks with the party is that she's curious about non-elementals.
Oh, fun.
And so likes to kind of learn a little bit about them, but she also has an extraordinarily short attention span, so the moment they bore her, she just decides to kill them.
Ah.
So she's
Nice.
like, okay, we're carrying on conversations. Okay, we're having some fun. Okay, now I'm just bored.
And
Time
then-
for murder.
And then we went upstairs, and there were flying heads for episode 14.
It's true. You guys, episode 14, you went upstairs. There was...
Sudi saw the weird dude twice in that episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then Sudi was suggested.
we still don't know what was up with that. If that's there was actually somebody there or something else there, or if it was
What was the name of the not the Vargoyle thing?
I'm actually not going to get into that here because it may be pertinent later.
Oh gosh.
I have a blank
I mean,
in
you know
my
his name was Imanish,
experience.
but
Imanish,
you don't
yeah.
know what he was.
And that's when we found the headband that Imanesh was using to create
To make the beheaded.
The beheaded
You know-
downstairs.
I'm going to bet that Imanesh was one of the Pantheros.
That'd be cool.
oh,
Ooh, history check.
That'd be an interesting
That's what I'm gonna
twist.
I mean, because wasn't it the whole thing is the cursed headband? So you put that on, and then that's what turns you into the weird, creepy thing?
Well,
no,
the-
they're just a little mindless beheaded downstairs, not like the
Yeah,
Vargoyles.
the one reason why I think not is didn't we? I forget
It's
what
an
we rolled.
outsider of
Yeah,
some
some kind of an
kind.
outsider,
Oh,
so it wouldn't have
okay.
been.
Yeah, you were able to
Imanish.
determine he wasn't any sort of...
Undead or
Oh,
anything.
okay. Then I had that switched. I was thinking like he became that because of the headband.
No,
so,
the
yeah.
headband
Yeah.
turns the people into the little flying skulls.
I will get into a little bit on Ilmanesh, even if I'm not getting into necessarily exactly what it was. Just to give you an idea of the great things that you've done for the city that you may never know about.
Yay!
Oh,
Well, he was kind of a serial killer, so I think we helped.
Imanish has lived in Wati for decades, and is a blight upon not only the necropolis, but the living city of Wati as well. Wati has long been plagued by periodic Vargoyle attacks, more likely than not probably explaining why some of you knew what a Vargoyle was.
Oh.
And Imanish has encouraged these attacks by corralling these dull-witted monsters into the house to, quote, breed, and ensure that they are never hunted to extinction.
Gross.
Imanish's favorite game is to fly into the living half of the city and, using his powers, masquerade as a friendly Johnny. With his charm person and suggestion abilities, he lures poverty-stricken commoners over the walls of the necropolis to the House of Panthero in search of fabulous wealth and wishes. These unfortunates then fall victim to the creature's cruel tortures and entertainments. Imanish is a perverse sadist who relishes in using his magic to convince young lovers that their partners are unfaithful, or whispering to orphans that they are actually abandoned by their parents because they were too homely and stupid to be loved.
wow.
Eventually,
geez.
Imanish tires of these mortal playthings, most of whom are used to create more beheaded for his scene in the dining room, or breed into new Vargoyles. And then the creature drives them back to the city to sow more chaos.
So we
Man.
totally helped
He's a
out with
horrible,
that.
Man, that is a-
villain. So, good job killing him.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yay.
say we've defeated the menace that nobody knew existed.
I like to think that we've definitely all heard like boogeyman stories that are kind of like somebody will
About the
lure you into
Vargoyles and
being-
things,
Yeah. I will say
And
it
he
was
was-
it was a real pain having to try to fight something that has cold iron damage reduction when we have
I was
only
talking-
very little cold iron.
I was talking to Rick about this, that there's been a lot of stuff in this game that's like very...
Low level damage reduction has been
and I'm
a
like,
theme.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, but for realsies, guys, that's part of the reason that I think we've been having such a challenge with some of this stuff.
Oh, no, it
You're
absolutely
not used
is.
to running into this stuff at this level.
Yeah, well, and if you look at like me, so like monks are like the damage reduction is the bane of most melee characters. It's especially true for monks because we can get multiple attacks. I have like 2 or 3 attacks right now if I use a key pool point, but I'm only going to do a d6 plus 3. So if it has damage reduction 5, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not high enough level yet to take pummeling style, which will actually let me start doing all my damage as 1 damage before damage reduction, but. I'm definitely getting that feeling of, man, I've got to take that because holy cow, this is getting crazy.
Well, what level do your fists count as cold iron?
High level.
It's a
thing.
higher level.
I
Yeah,
wanna
right now
say-
they just
I
count as
don't think
magical.
it's particularly high.
I
I think
think
it's like
it's like-
7th level or
That's
something.
that's higher level.
Well, we're
than,
third level right now, so
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
That's
Yeah, so-
mid-level stuff right there.
Yeah, let me look it up because
Well, actually, that does raise kind of a question. Since you guys went up there, you fought Imanish, you ran into damage reduction issues. Conveniently, you guys had a couple of cold iron
such
arrows.
much issues.
yeah,
Many
'cause I
issues.
kept those.
You kept
You know.
that, and I had the bolts.
But you guys have run into reoccurring problems with certain amounts of damage reduction and things like that. Are you anticipating your characters purchasing something to deal with that?
It's just
You
gonna
can
be
never
cold
guess what
iron.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I have Silver Sheen. We have not run into anything. that
It
needs
is
silver.
7th level that my attacks are treated as cold iron and silver.
man, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, but see,
Good
that's
call.
not. I don't consider 7th level low level stuff.
No.
That's fair.
Like once you hit around 5th level, you're.
I have 2
kinda-
attacks by, well,
you
4
know.
attacks by then.
I'm having a hard time in Mummy's Mask, is I guess the point I'm trying to make. I feel like we're struggling a lot more than I have. And I think the damage reduction is part of that.
Oh no, 100%. I'm feeling it for sure because like this thing has damage reduction. I'm like, really?
And
Because
that's-
there's not as
If we
many
want
things
to roll
do.
into that 15th episode, that thing had spell resistance.
Yeah. That fight took 7 bazillion years because of the damage reduction.
Oh,
100%,
yeah.
Well, you had to hold it still because it kept turning invisible.
Yeah, I
We
know.
never. If you hadn't done that, we all would have died.
I know, I'm glad I did it, but it's just so, I've never ever played a character that grappled as a
As
tactical
a
What we
move.
have to do.
I guess I'm grappling stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is necessary to deal with a higher damage reduction. But no, you guys had gotten a chance, though, to explore the rest of the second floor. Found the
Jumanji.
copy of Jumanji.
Does it actually say what that actually
I
is?
100%
Or
We
call
is it
know
that.
a
what
game?
we know what game it is. We figured it out.
I
just
called
can't
it.
remember.
Jessica
No, you
secretly
don't
had
know
mine
what-
No,
down.
we don't know what game it is.
No, there's a game. There's an Egyptian game that you play with sticks and you toss the
Yeah.
sticks and the way they fall. It's like Sekhmet or something.
Sekhmet
I
is
have
the
it.
goddess
It's a god.
of
Yeah.
war.
Well, it starts with an S and it ends with a T. So whatever the middle part is, I don't know. Because I have it, because I bought it when we went to the King Tut exhibit. And they had it in the shop.
Oh.
It was really
Yeah.
horrible because I have bad luck and I lost every time we played.
I don't remember ever playing it.
We
I'm
played
sure
it
we did.
in my tiny room in Korea.
We did.
And you won because you have good luck of rolling
Wasn't it-
sticks and I have bad luck.
Yeah.
You'd also found the end of the story as far as, I believe her name was Arna City?
Oh yeah,
Oh
she
yeah,
had
the
wedding
daughter.
dress.
She never got married because her boyfriend got the plague and died.
And
Yep.
also her wedding dress we found, but it was very like
Yeah,
delicate.
you found Arna City's hope chest and found her wedding dress, which you weren't able to take with you.
I thought we took the whole thing with us.
Well, yeah, you took the entire chest. You weren't able to
Yeah,
take it, like the
'cause it looked
Syrian wedding
crumbly.
robe out.
Yeah.
And Sagira, I believe, is wearing her engagement
Ring, sure.
Which
am.
is still
Yeah.
probably
Bling.
haunted.
It's just weird.
Bling, bling.
It's very weird to wear somebody else's wedding
You'd
ring
also
robe.
found some magical coal, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, hey,
Yeah,
magic
but we
makeup,
don't know
that's
what
awesome.
it does.
Yeah.
I have to get
Yeah.
to identify because I kind of want to use it. That
Yeah,
sounds
me
fun.
too.
It's actually really cool they set it out in here.
Well, we'll
so
get that
you guys will
wizard to
find out.
identify when we're back in town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got your, I wouldn't say friendly wizard because he's just kind of there. He's like a mercenary wizard. Like,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
identify
fine.
things.
Yeah, it's easy gold for him.
Or maybe that Scald has detect magic and we could convince her to see what it is. You remember she said she was Scald? We told her our
Yeah, the
stories.
genie lady, something red hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were like
the-
friends with her. Sigrid? No.
Something fire hair, yeah.
Sigrun Firehair.
Sigrid. Ah, yeah.
But you guys had also, I'm not sure if, did any of you notice something peculiar pertaining towards the second floor? Just
No.
missing.
I mean, it was weird because there was a scary headless guy there.
Why? What should have been up there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what is
Yeah.
missing from up there. I mean, there's no like library or anything, but that wouldn't be.
Yeah, because there was, like I said, there was the master, the daughter's bedroom, the kid's bedroom where you found the game, and then
Yeah.
the office.
So one of the things I found kind of interesting reading through it, and you can kind of, I'd like to personally be optimistic and interpret it this way. You found the bodies of everyone else downstairs. You found the bodies of the guards, you found the bodies of the servants. There were no bodies upstairs.
Oh, you're right.
So maybe she escaped. Maybe she didn't have time to grab her wedding dress, but maybe she escaped with her mother and everything. They were trying to protect the children. You didn't find any bodies.
Oh, maybe.
Because the kids' bodies outside were in the servants' quarters,
Yeah.
so the noble kids wouldn't have been out there.
That's a good point. Or they animated as some type of undead and wandered out.
It's quite possible.
It's also possible.
Or you could be optimistic and think that maybe she got out. Maybe
Yeah,
she got
it's not
across the
very
river
optimistic.
to Tafu.
I'm just
and,
waiting to go down into this
We saw
the
what
mausoleum
happened.
and you find there's just like the whole family's there.
Who knows?
The descendants, though, went to another city, so
Somebody had to have
we
lived,
could maybe
right?
find out if we venture.
Yeah, you do know that the House of Panther continues to live in
Yeah,
Sothis.
but they're not nobles anymore.
Well, they're kind of like lower caste nobles, but keep in mind that a lot of the nobility lost their station during the Kelishite interregnum.
Yeah, but see, that's the big thing about Onuris' family is that they stayed through the Plague of Madness. They weren't one of the families that fled, and they helped rebuild the city after the plague ended.
Oh, yeah. Also, Sagira figured out who Onuris' family was. Because I was like, rich people. Who are rich people here?
I think you actually found that out in like episode 12.
Was
Maybe
it? I can't
11.
remember.
But you guys had finally finished the last of the House of Pantheru, made your way out and down into the crypt, and had your first run-in with what could have potentially been a mummy
But
if you guys didn't make a
gross thing. Good lord.
If you guys didn't make a really good knowledge check, then you could have gone back to town and be like, we fought a mummy, guys.
We fought a very sticky mummy.
And then Sagira grappled that mummy also.
It's true.
Because it grappled her first.
You just need to take improved grapple.
Apparently.
Although in that case, like, you guys were getting through its damage reduction, like, you weren't bypassing it, but you were getting through its damage reduction pretty readily. You were all dealing damage to it.
I did 1 point of damage a couple times, but...
Yeah, but you were all doing damage to it. You didn't have to grapple that to even beat the thing at that
it was
point.
grappling me, and I was not going to get out of that grapple.
Yeah.
Sagira knew that, like, grappling that other thing seemed to be pretty helpful, so maybe she'll just grapple this thing also.
Yeah.
Take a level in Brawler and take improved grapple. And
I mean, it wouldn't be completely out of character, so...
It's true. The Adherer actually is an interesting creature.
My question is, what was it doing there?
It was the guardian of
Chillin'.
the tomb, I'm sure.
Well,
I can let you know if you want.
I was like, how would you control such a thing?
It's probably trained, because it had
It
some
wandered
sort of
in one day and
intelligence.
was like, okay.
Maybe if you have a certain like symbol of the house
Yeah,
or
or
something that has an
something.
attack, yeah.
What's the truth?
It's honestly not really much to say about it, but it's basically that, it's a horrid once human creature that has taken refuge here. It's a hunter, though it goes long periods without feeling the need to find another victim. It's all but impossible for most creatures inhabiting the state to harm the Adherer because of its significant damage reduction, and so those that are aware of the creature's presence tend to leave it alone.
So it just lives there.
It just lives there.
Huh.
I'm really
nothing
excited
special.
to fight this cat swarm. I'm not even going to lie.
It's true.
That should be really interesting. Because we've joked about cat swarms before, like numerous times.
And it's undead.
And now it's becoming a reality.
Swarm of undead cats.
Cool.
Again, kind of as I mentioned at the end of that episode, like, this was a selling point for me for this adventure path, was the moment that I read that. That was the encounter that I was like, this feels really Egyptian.
Yeah, I know.
An
Yeah,
undead, mummified cat swarm buried with their master for all of eternity to protect them. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that is amazing.
that's pretty cool.
Lots of tiny cats to fight. Onuris is doing great on his channels, right?
I actually don't have any left.
Yeah.
But
I
Oh.
double checked.
But I can murder them with my favorite
I have
enemy.
one second level spell left. That's what I've got.
It is true. They do look pretty undead.
Surely they're undead.
I mean,
Surprise, it's aberration. No.
I was going to say the ritual way
I
in
mean,
which
and
they
they're
were
big
killed.
enough that we can damage them. They're tiny creatures.
Yeah, honestly, thinking back, and I won't get into the details on this, I can think of at least 3 occasions, one of which I can't go into because it'd be too much of a spoiler, but 2 other occasions, one recently with the Adherer, of aberrations hiding as undead.
That's
Yeah.
really not cool.
The other one that I'll get into, and it was the one that just blew my mind when it wasn't, the corpse orgy.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like,
It's like, how dare
it
you
should
not
be
be undead?
undead.
Thanks, Greg Vaughn.
Yep.
Thanks, Greg Vaughn.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
As
and
much as
so-
we complain, we do enjoy his.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
This stuff is
Just
good.
you see his name on a book and you're like, well,
Oh.
Well,
better
this is going to
be
go
ready.
poorly.
Yeah, he's back for Return of the Rune Lord, so that's going to be good.
Oh.
I-
so
He's the
excited.
level 20 book, and I remember Chase.
Yeah.
No, it was James. I was like, don't thank me. You get to play as level 20 for a while. Don't thank me.
Yeah.
It's Greg Vaughn's book.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to actually, because they didn't mention Mythic in that, so we're just going to hit 20 and then...
Yeah.
I want to hit 20.
Yeah, I mean, I've never hit 20, so that'd be
gonna
really
be
cool.
hard
'cause we
to
haven't played, like...
class.
Do you get to 20 in Wrath of the Righteous?
Yeah, you're 20 and
Yes.
10th level mythic by the end
Yeah.
of it. You're
Wrath of the Righteous is the only other adventure path that you get to 20.
Okay, yeah, we haven't played that yet, so...
I'll also point out as an interesting thing, and that I love the parallel to it, is Greg Vaughn did book 6 of Rise of the Rune Lords. It's kind of a nice closing chapter
Yeah,
there.
I like that book.
That was a good book.
Sadly, Greg Vaughn didn't do any of the books of
Mummy's Mask.
Mummy's Mask.
Yeah.
Although Crystal Fraser did book 2, so
Oh,
I'm
nice.
looking
I'm
forward to
excited
that.
about that.
So yeah, as far as our channel and channel announcements and everything else are concerned, first off, as this is the first after party that we've recorded since then, we would like to thank Clive Jones over there with Nerds on Earth for the review that they gave us on their website. If you have not checked out Nerds on Earth, do so. Check out our review. It was very positive. It was lots of constructive criticism. Thank you for your review, and that was pretty awesome. Other than that, we do not have listener mail this time, but we do actually have some interesting questions that have been given to us by a number of people on our Twitter feed. So I figured we'd go ahead and answer some of that, as most of the mail that we've gotten from listeners has primarily been uplifting, which we always appreciate. Feel free to email us anytime that you want to say anything about enjoying our audio quality
Makes
or
us feel
personalities.
very good.
Yeah, it's very nice to get the positive reactions from you guys, but I feel a little awkward just reading praise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen to how awesome we are.
I was going to say, it's a little too self-serving.
So I figure I'll give a shout out to Twitter, and has commented a couple times, mostly about enjoying the Mummy's Mask adventure path which so far I have very much been enjoying running as well. As well as like the Osirian setting, we've gotten a lot of people that have kind of said that it's like, oh, well, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot different than it normally is.
Because Egypt is cool.
I've always been a real fan of the Osirian setting, so this is,
I like any non-typical fantasy.
I do generally like non-typical high fantasy settings, but Osirian is really good just because I grew up as a person who was really interested in Egypt. And,
Everyone
thought
had
that was really
phase.
Cool. Everybody goes through that phase, yeah, where you're like, man, mummies and pyramids, that's so cool. And
so yeah, we also very much have enjoyed the Mummy's Mask adventure path and the setting. So I figured for a fun question, since we didn't really have a question raised there, and I guess I'll answer it and then move on from there. What, as players, would you be most interested in a setting that you have not played in yet, playing in this setting? So for me, I think I would have to... I really want to know what's going on with the whole Geb and Nex situation.
That is the biggest mystery in all of Pathfinder.
Well,
Eric Mona
no.
won't tell him.
Yeah, I mean,
Death of Aroden's probably the biggest mystery in all of Pathfinder.
Yeah, but from a history, you could actually probably find the answers to. Like, it's just this huge gap.
I know the history of the nation. Interesting side note, Geb and Nex both used to be part of Osirian. Anyway.
Huh.
Yeah, Osirian stretched all the way
from
down.
Katapesh and down.
Yeah, all of Katapesh used to be part of Osirian, and all of the northern coast of Garund used to be part of Osirian, where Rahadum and everything are now.
So
similarly
to the Egyptian Empire is actually historically...
Yeah, it was massive. Yeah, and I know that's a certain brainchild of a certain Paizo employee that...
His name is Eric Mona?
Yeah, that's just...
Calling you out here.
I was being vague.
I know. We know who it is.
So yeah, if we could ever get an adventure path that goes through Geb and Nex, maybe a little mana waste thrown in there, I would love that. I'm pretty sure I know this answer, but Jessica?
South Garund maybe would be cool, or Vudra would be cool, or Sarusan
go see all the
cool.
catfolk down in southern Garund.
I'd like one that explored like all of Tien.
Well, if you had to pick one place. I guess mine was kind of Geb and Nex, but mostly Geb I'm interested in.
I don't have strong feelings. I just want it to be something new.
Okay.
For me, I'm trying to pick something that somebody hasn't already said, because I very much would love to have a Vudran adventure path. There's a lot of really interesting history from the Indian perspective that has not really been told. I'd like to see that. I'm really interested in Runes of Aslan, because it does go to a separate continent of what's left of the continent of Aslan. So
I think no one understood when I said the place you are most excited.
We can't pick one place.
It's so hard.
I know one
It's
place
so
that I
hard.
want to
Jordan,
play.
top of your list. Name it now.
Oh man, I really want to go to Geb.
Geb. All right.
Yep.
That's 2 for Geb if
anybody's
Paizo's
taking,
listening.
yeah, if anybody's taking count.
What about you, Rach?
I mean, they already have the adventure path of where I wanted to go, so I'm just eager to play it. But I want to go to Aslan because I want to know the whole backstory of
those guys.
that.
Having paged through it, it's interesting. And I don't know if this is part of your thought process, Rachel, but Rachel is a fan of the steampunk genre, generally speaking, and the sheer amount of clockwork stuff that they had.
That's fair.
Clockwork.
Oh yeah, because Aslan had the whole city of
they
clockwork.
invented the clockwork.
Yeah.
Well, the Thessalonian Empire did the city of clockwork, but they were descended from the Aslanti. Well, they were exiled by the Aslanti.
For being crazy.
But so the clockwork stuff is always great.
My clockwork.
All right, Heather. You've been waiting patiently.
Mine's not as exotic as everybody else, but I want to go to Nightall and like do stuff in Nightall, and because after reading the Nightall book, and mostly I'm really interested by the way the place looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's very interesting, and their history is really cool.
So we're looking at 2 for Geb. Jessica's literally anywhere.
Anywhere that's new.
Rachel's voting for Aslan. Is there a place that they haven't done anything yet that you're interested in, as far as like an adventure path?
I'm just kind of staring at the giant map, and I always, because it's pretty much right behind your head when I'm staring back here, Sarusan?
Oh,
I have
Sarusan.
no idea what it is,
There's
but there's a
question
question mark next to it, and that intrigues me.
The long and short of Sarusan is no one knows anything about it
That
because
sounds
everyone that
exactly.
goes there dies.
Or,
Yeah.
well, they don't know.
wanna
They just
go.
never
Ooh,
come back.
well, it's
We
probably
don't know if
amazing.
they're-
Maybe it's
Because it's
just
probably like a
it.
utopia
It's like
or
the New
something.
Zealand of the world.
Right?
Okay,
But yeah,
so
Sarusan sounds fun.
Sarusan would be interesting. And then Heather's voting for Nightall.
I
Oh,
love
that'd be cool.
Nightall.
She just
So-
wants anything evil.
Not
It's so
anything
easy
evil.
when you're evil.
Generally, a lawful evil is her bent.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Planar Adventures book just came out. Having read through that, it's actually a really interesting book. Was rather happy with it, and it is, it does have a poignant point where it is the the last hardback of the first edition of Pathfinder. And they probably went out on top on that. And I'm not really going to get into a review on this. We're actually going to do a separate review pertaining towards the book. But along the same vein, just because I had this thought, we'll do this as a little bit more of a rapid fire thing. If you had to choose a plane to do an adventure on.
Ooh, now you're speaking my language.
I think, for me personally, I would be interested in doing something in heaven. Literally going to heaven.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like the opening section for, Diablo 2 when you're in chapter 4, where you're just like, hell to you, champions. Yeah. And you're in like the Pandemonium Fortress, because there's a part of the fortresses in heaven and teaming up with angels to battle against the forces of the abyss or something. Like, I would love kind of a Diablo style. What about you guys?
Mirror plane.
Mirror plane. You want to go to the Upside Down? That'd be an interesting one.
It'd be creepy and cool.
So like the subplane of mirror where the shard people come from? Yeah. The
you can pop in and out of mirror
shards
spaces.
or whatever they were. Okay. Mirror dimension. A la Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Jordan?
What is Caden's plane? It's Elysium, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably really like to go to Elysium. I just imagine meeting Caden Kalian would be like the coolest dude ever, because like he's my favorite deity, because he's just like
A drunk frat bro.
I mean, not even
He made
that.
his dog a herald. I'm like,
not even that. He's just like, he's super
totally
chill, and I could imagine like his plane kind of being reflected in like that, like his area of Elysium being like a very like peaceful, happy place, and then maybe something comes in to ruin it, and then it's like, oh man, what does everybody do? So I think that'd be really interesting.
I imagine Caden kind of is like a Van Wilder sort of character. He's
played by Ryan Reynolds.
I mean,
played by Ryan Reynolds.
Could you not
Maybe.
see it?
Yeah.
You know what?
Also,
I could see that.
you're always Deadpool if you're Ryan Reynolds. I'm just saying.
Ryan Reynolds or Nathan Fillion. Like,
we're gonna go through the list and cast all of the gods now.
oh man.
That'd be fun.
Kate Blanchett for Pharasma. Anyway.
I could see that.
Nice.
What about you, Rach?
Probably mine, because we kind of got a taste of it in a different adventure path, is I'd like to visit more of the elemental planes. Just because.
Yeah, because
Return to the City of the Brass.
City of Brass was very interesting, and I'd love to. Now, granted, we need to get like some Zora tunics, and
I was gonna say, yeah,
we're all just elementals.
It's gonna be really hard to survive in the
Team Druid.
fire.
You would be amazed in the means by which they make it even viable for low-level characters to go and explore the planes in the Planar book. Just all of the elemental planes in general.
And just any of them. I mean, we've visited the Plane of Fire before, so I'd probably put that one lower on the list just because we've already been there. But the other ones, yeah.
The shopping's great.
The shopping in the City of Brass is phenomenal.
There is no gold limit.
What about you, Heather?
The first world.
I'm going to do the first world stuff?
That's another good
That's
one.
a little nuts, but yeah.
It makes me... It's a throwback to our old werewolf, the apocalypse days. My favorite... They had umbral realms where you could go like into the Umbra, and then you could go deep into the Umbra, and there were actually like different almost planes of existence.
Cool.
And my favorite one was the gate to Arcadia. And it was literally... There was a road that ran down the center of this plane, and one side was the Seelie Fae, and the other side was the Unsuli Fae, and they were constantly at war with each other, even though the two leaders of the both factions were like secretly in love with each other.
Yeah, they're desperately in love with one
And
another.
would go meet in like this secret part of the forest, and we got into all sorts of shenanigans, helping either side, sometimes helping both sides. And
that's cool.
I just think doing something like that in Pathfinder, like going into the first world and just getting into all sorts of shenanigans with the Fae would be amazing.
I think my favorite part about the entirety of that plane is if you follow the road to its end, it ends in a river, and there's a sign that says, "You have reached the edge of the map, here there be monsters." And then if you swim across the river, it takes you to hell.
Yep. Yeah, it takes you to the gateway to Erebus, which is what the werewolves call their
Oh man.
Yeah, let's do first world. That sounds fun.
I just every time I think about White Wolf and all the weird things you did and weird things we got into, I always think about how much I loved going to Arcadia.
Well, and there's a lot that they haven't done with the the rulers of the Fae kind.
And there's all sorts of cool shenanigans you could get in with that, and and it has stuff for. If you want to be more dark, go play with the Unsuli. You want to have, be more fun and capricious, go play with the Suli. And it's one of those...
But it's chaotic everywhere you go.
Yeah, and with the nature of that plane, I'm sure you could get into all sorts of crazy, wild adventures.
So, good picks on everyone's part. If you haven't had a chance to read through the Planar Adventures book, definitely check it out, because I very much enjoyed it. And when we pick back up, our heroes are going to be continuing making their way through, fighting a cat swarm. You guys really need to get used to fighting swarms.
I'm just going to buy I'm just going to get a crossbow that launches alchemist fire. That's my plan.
Oh, there you go.
Slingshot. You could sling some.
just gotta hire a alchemist to follow us around.
Seriously, somebody take leadership, and our new best friend is an alchemist.
I want to take leadership because I have more than enough to deal with on this side of the table.
Yeah.
Oh, but if we took leadership, we could have guest stars that played our follower occasionally. And they just have a lot of personalities.
Yeah, I've got nothing else. So thank you all for all of our new subscribers, which has been a lot. You guys have been really great. The support from the surrounding community and all the other podcasts out there. You guys have made this a very welcoming environment, and we all appreciate joining your ranks and trying to provide as much entertainment to all of our nerdy people out there listening even now.
Email us, tweet us. We respond to things.
We have updated our website. We actually have links to our Twitter and also bios if you're curious about our gaming histories and things like that. So we haven't really talked about it on the podcast.
True. So yeah, feel free to contact us with, of course, any of your comments, anything that you want to say pertaining towards the show, or anything that you think we should do differently, and we will take it under advisement. Until next time, good luck, Pathfinders.